Live from the BDN Studios, it's Bang and Dang.
That's awesome.
If you don't like that, then
You ain't black.
Welcome back to Battles of the American Civil War with your host Bang and Dang as the Overland Campaign and the Atlanta Campaign rages on and on and on and on.
And the beat goes on.
Of 1864. We got two Overlands and Atlanta Campaign battles today for you. Wilson's Wharf, New Hope Church, and Dallas, Georgia.
Wow.
And a whole lot of nothing's going on as usual. We got a bunch of backtracking and a bunch of I don't know what's going on. And oh my gosh, I'm really facing the whole army. I thought it was just some of their army.
Right.
That goes on a lot.
Jeez.
Which we'll see coming up before we get into it. Go check out our YouTube at Bang Dang Network. Post shorts, clips, our YouTube exclusive Dart League and faux episodes. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple, give us a review and answer that Spotify question. Coming up first, Battle of Wilson's Wharf, also called the Battle of Fort Pocahontas, between Ulysses S. Grant's Army of the Potomac, Meade's Army of the Potomac, and Robert E. Lee's Army of Northern Virginia, in which Confederate Major General Fitzhugh Lee attacked two African-American Union regiments under Brigadier General Edward Wild.
Okay.
This battle was the first combat encounter of Robert E. Lee's Army of Northern Virginia with African-American troops.
Hey.
Look at that. Wild, who was a physician and ardent abolitionist, lost his left arm at the Battle of South Mountain in 1862.
No shit. Did we do that?
Of course. After recovering, he raised a unit of former slaves called Wild's African Brigade, the old Wild Africans. During the winter of 1863-64, Wild led these soldiers on an expedition on the coast of North Carolina, terrifying a local white population accustomed to African slavery since the early 18th century.
Oh, so these guys...
They're like, what are these guys doing?
So yeah, it wasn't even war-related. And this went in there and terrified citizens. Typical freaking Union stuff there.
There's expeditions down to North Carolina. It's not their fault that retarded-ass white people are like, oh, my gosh.
Wild's brigade landed in Virginia in May of 1864 and began building a fort at Wilson's Wharf, one of the series of protective outposts guarding supply lines for Union Major General Benjamin Butler's Bermuda 100 campaign. The wharf, it was a strategic bend in the James River, overlooked by high bluffs 2 miles from Sherwood Forest, the home of former United States President John Tyler.
Hey.
That's cool. By this very time, Wild's unit had a frightening reputation among Southerners. Wild's subsequent actions alarmed them all the more. His soldiers freed and recruited slaves, and in one case whipped a plantation owner who had a reputation for harshness to his slaves. I mean, okay, I'll take it. The Richmond newspapers denounced these activities and put intense pressure on the government of Jefferson Davis to put a stop to Wild's depredations.
Succumbing to the political pressure, Davis's military advisor, General Braxton Bragg, ordered Fitzhugh Lee's cavalry to break up this nest and stop their uncivilized proceedings. While his uncle Robert E. Lee was battling Grant at the North Anna River, Fitz Lee took elements of 3 cavalry brigades plus the 5th South Carolina Cavalry Regiment, which is 2,500 men and 1 cannon. They went on a 40-mile march from Atlee Station to reach Wilson's Wharf. Confederate general expected to fight a rabble, but instead found the defenders of Fort Pocahontas alert and ready for action. They're like, bring it on, baby.
Well, Wild, he commanded 1,100 men and 2 cannons. The Union force consisted of the 1st United States Colored Infantry Regiment.
So what's the big difference there?
Right.
The 1,400 more men that the Confederates had, or the 1 more cannon that the Union had?
I'd say that cannon probably helped out a lot.
Maybe. Plus, they're in a fort. So.
Right. He had the 1st United States Colored Infantry Regiment and also 4 companies of the 10th United States Colored Infantry. Battery M, the 3rd New York Artillery, was the only white unit in the defense. So?
Just saying. It was majority African Americans, man.
The gunboat, USS Dawn, it lay in the James River to deliver fire support to the fort's defenders. The fort was about 0.8 miles long, straddling the road to the wharf. It was anchored on both ends, to the west on a bluff and on the east by a branch of Cannon Creek. So it could not be flanked.
That's a damn good position.
I would say so. It was fronted by a deep, broad ditch and an abatis.
Right.
That's awesome. Look, it was like a freaking old school medieval castle.
Pretty much. Got a moat.
The moat.
A moot. What is this all about? Around noon, May 24th, Lee's men charged and drove in the Union pickets who were posted near the Charles City Road, which is about 1 mile north of the fort. By 1:30 p.m., the fort was invested, and Lee sent two officers Lee sent two officers under a flag of truce with a message demanding the surrender of the garrison.
Oh, wow. That never works.
He promised that the black soldiers would be we've heard this before.
Right.
They would be taken to Richmond and treated as prisoners of war, but if they did not surrender, he would not be answerable for their consequences.
You ain't getting just like any other prisoner of war.
Wild and his men interpreted this to mean they would be killed or enslaved, particularly due to the massacre of black troops at Battle of Fort Pillow we did just 6 weeks earlier.
Definitely did happen.
Yes.
Well, Wild was like, all right, you send this back to him. And he wrote it down on a piece of paper. And it said this: present my compliments to General Fitzhugh Lee and tell him to go to hell. And then he verbally told two officers, take the fort if you can.
Take it if you can.
Lee planned a two-pronged attack. Brigadier General William C. Wickham's brigade, they moved east of the fort, concealed in ravines of Kennon Creek. To distract the Federals from Wickham's attack, Colonel John Donavant of the 5th South Carolina, he demonstrated on the western end of the fort. Donavant's men advanced as far as the ditch in Abatis, but were driven back by heavy fire. Wickham's men rushed forward across an open field and were met by interlocking fields of musket fire, canister rounds from two 10-pounder rifle parrots. Two 10-pounder Parrott rifles, and also a naval gunfire from the Dawn.
Yes, sir. As Lee,
You think they'd know, but don't run across an open damn field.
yeah, especially when you got two cannons and a naval boat sitting right there doing things. As Lee looked for a weak point in the fort's defenses, Union reinforcements arrived about 4 p.m. on the steamer George Washington.
I bet he's not going to find a weak point.
No, carrying 4 companies of the 10th United States Colored Infantry. Lee ordered his men to withdraw to Charles City Courthouse, and the next morning they rode back to Atlee Station.
Yeah.
About 200 Confederate were killed or wounded in the abortive attack, and Federal losses were 6 killed, 40 wounded. A few African-American soldiers were indeed captured, and some of these were shot. One was sent to his master back in Richmond. Oh, damn. Which one you would rather do?
Right.
Materially, this action had little effect on the outcome of the war, but the North scored a propaganda victory. Right, you can't be having them going around saying that a bunch of black dudes fucking defeated your almighty army there.
Well, in fact, it was the very first significant combat encounter between the Army of Northern Virginia and black soldiers, who had fought well in the defensive battle against a larger attacking force.
Yeah.
But they had the fort behind them, so. Southerners, unwilling to acknowledge their defeat against a predominantly African-American force, they claimed that 6 gunboats and substantial numbers of white Union soldiers were involved in this action. In his report, Fitzhugh Lee minimized both his strength and his losses.
I bet he did. You can't be the nephew of the damn best general on the South and be doing that, guy. Fire him, drawn and quartered. That's going to bring us to the Battle of New Hope, which I mistakenly said was Overland Campaign, but it's actually Atlanta Campaign, which is going to be May 25th to the 26th between William Sherman and the Confederate Army of the Tennessee, led by Joseph Johnston. Sherman broke loose from his railroad supply line in a large-scale sweep in an attempt to force Johnston's army to retreat from its strong position south of the Etowah River. April 30th, Sherman's host numbered 110,000 soldiers, of which 99,000 were available for offensive purposes.
Right, we already know that.
All of the Union Army's 254 guns consisted of 12-pounder Napoleons, 10-pounder Parrots, 12 or 20-pounder Parrots, and 3-inch ordnance rifles. The 25,000 non-combatants accompanying the Army included, we know it, railroad, repair crews, teamsters, medical, and black camp slaves. They call them servants, but we know what they are.
Yeah. Well, Sherman, he directed elements of 3 armies. The Army of the Cumberland, led by Major General George H. Thomas, had 73,000 troops, 130 guns. Army of Tennessee, Major General James B. McPherson, he had 24,500 soldiers, 96 guns. Then you had the Army of Ohio, commanded by Major General John Schofield, 11,362 infantry, 2,197 cavalry, 28 guns.
All
right. The Army of the Cumberland's General Thomas, his army consisted of the 4th Corps under Major General Oliver Otis Howard, the 14th Corps under Major General Major General John Palmer, and the 20th Corps under Major General Joseph Hooker.
Old Hooker.
And 3 cavalry divisions led by Brigadier Generals Edward McCook, Kenneth Garrard, and Hugh Judson Kilpatrick.
Well, meanwhile, McPherson's Army of the Tennessee, comprised of the 15th Corps under Major General John Logan and the left wing of the 16th Corps under Brigadier General Grenville Dodge. 17th Corps under Major General Francis Preston Blair Jr. did not join until June 8th, but he'll get there. Schofield's army was made up of the 23rd Corps under Schofield himself and a cavalry division led by Major General George Stoneman.
Georgie Stoneman.
The 4th and 20th Corps each counted 20,000 soldiers. 14th Corps had 22,000. 15th Corps totaled 11,500. 16th and the 17th Corps each numbered about 10,000 men.
Well, foe had some troops behind his ass. Damn. 30th April.
That's as big as the Potomac, dude.
Crazy, man. 30th April, 1864. Johnston's army counted 41,279 men. Jeez. In 7 infantry divisions. There were 3,227 artillerymen present for duty, serving only 144 guns. Many of the guns were inferior to the Federal artillery pieces, but the crews were experienced. There were 10,000 cavalrymen, but only 8,500 present for duty, and many horses were in poor condition. So, that sucks. There were probably 8,000 non-combatants supporting the army, many of whom were disabled by wounds or otherwise unfit for combat. So why have them there?
But you're not going to abandon them.
Well, why not?
Johnston's Army of the Tennessee included 2 infantry corps led by Lieutenant Generals William Hardy and John Bell Hood, and a cavalry corps under Major General Joseph Wheeler. The army was soon joined by the Corps of Lieutenant General Leonidas Polk and the cavalry division of Brigadier General William Jackson.
All right, I'm getting some decent people in there.
Hardy's corps consisted of the divisions of Major Generals Benjamin Cheatham, Patrick Claiborne, William Walker, William Bate. Hood's corps included the divisions of Major Generals Thomas Hidman, Carter Stevenson, and Alexander P. Stewart. And Polk's corps comprised the divisions of Major Generals William Wing Lauren and Samuel Gibbs French, plus Brigadier General James Canty.
Fantastic.
All right. Always shorter on their end.
Well, General Sherman, he launched his campaign on the 7th of May, 1864, with the Battle of Rocky Face Ridge. Hey, yo, Mick. During which he turned Johnston's western flank. We all remember that one. That was just terrible by the old Rebs. This was followed by the Battle of Resaca on the 13th through the 15th of May, at which time Polk's corps began arriving. After Sherman turned his western flank again, Johnston said, "I'm out." At the Battle of Cassville, Johnston tried to strike at Sherman's army, but the opportunity was fumbled on the 1-yard line. May 19th, Polk and Hood, they convinced Johnston to retreat to Alatuna Pass. Johnston conducted the withdrawal south of the Etowah River skillfully, leaving few stragglers behind. Schofield's corps passed through Cartersville and reached Ottawa to find that bridges burnt and the old Rebs were gone. He was like, damn. The Western Atlantic Railroad ran through a gorge at the Alatuna Pass, and Johnston posted his army there in an extremely strong defensive position. Oh, in the gorge, huh?
They're like, follow this drinking gorge.
Right.
Sherman planned to force Johnston's army to retreat behind the Chattahoochee River. To do this, he decided to outflank Johnston's army on the west by marching to Dallas and then Marietta. May 20th, Sherman ordered his army to be ready to move on May 23rd. Since it would be leaving the railroad line, the army carried 20 days of supplies in its wagons and evacuated all of its wounded and unfit men to the rear.
Oh, damn unfit men.
Sherman was anxious about his railroad supply line, which was 80 miles back to Chattanooga, which ran 80 miles back to Chattanooga. Holy shit. How do you protect an 80-mile-long supply line? It's crazy. Fearing the railroad might be damaged by Confederate cavalry raids, Sherman ordered Brigadier General John E. Smith's 15th Corps from Huntsville, Alabama, and 9 23rd Corps regiments from East Tennessee and Kentucky forward to guard the Western and Atlantic Railroad.
Oh, shit.
To replace these units, he summoned northern state governors to recruit 100-day regiments to garrison the rear area railroads.
Oh, nice.
Look at that. 80-mile-long train.
That's crazy. Sherman directed McPherson's 2 Corps on his right wing to march from Kingston, south of Van Urt, and then east to Dallas. Since Brigadier General Jefferson C. Davis's division, which was the 14th Corps, was already to the west at Rome, it moved with McPherson. Thomas's 3 Corps, they were ordered to march south through Uralay and Stylesboro toward Dallas, Georgia. And Georgia? Garrard's cavalry covered McPherson's wing, while McCook's horsemen scouted ahead of Thomas's center, preceded by Stoneman, and Schofield's left wing marched from Cartersville to the Etowah.
Spellman's cavalry found Malam's bridge burned, and a pontoon bridge was laid nearby. Hooker crossed his 20th Corps ahead of Schofield's 23rd Corps, and therefore was able to move ahead of Thomas's other 2 corps. Unsure if Sherman was moving around his left flank, Johnson ordered Wheeler's cavalry to cross to the north bank of the Etowah to see if Sherman's army was still there. May 24th, Wheeler reported that Sherman's army was to the west near Kingston. Avoiding Kilpatrick's cavalry, who was patrolling the area, Wheeler's horsemen captured 70 wagons and burned some others. Damn, how'd you get away with that?
Also on the 24th of May, McPherson reached a point 8 miles west of Dallas. Riding ahead, garage troopers reported that the old Rebs was at Dallas. There's some infantryman at Dallas. I seen him. Hooker reached Burnt Hickory ahead of Thomas's other corps. Schofield's corps was to the northeast. Alerted by reports from Jackson's cavalry division, Johnston deduced that the Union Army was maneuvering to turn his left flank.
Once again, he's like, not this again.
Right. That very afternoon, McCook's horsemen captured a rebel courier with a message that Johnston's army was moving toward Dallas. Nevertheless, Sherman remained confident that Johnston would not try to block him at Dallas. He ordered his army to press forward. He's like, he ain't going to do that.
Confident little guy, are you? On the morning of May 25th, Hardee's corps took position at Dallas, blocking the road to Marietta with Polk's corps on its right.
All right.
On the far right flank, Hood's corps moved in position near New Hope Church, which is northeast of Dallas. Hood posted Hindman's division on the left flank and Stevenson's division on the right flank. Stewart's division deployed in the center, reinforced by one of Stevenson's brigades. Hood's soldiers immediately dug rifle pits and piled up breastworks of logs and rocks.
Call
them rocks.
Right.
Confederate observers on Ellsbury Mountain reported seeing dust clouds that indicated Sherman's troops were coming. Said, they're coming, boys.
Something's coming. Oh, damn dust clouds. That very afternoon, Hood's troops captured a Union soldier who admitted that he belonged to Hooker's corps.
Okay.
Cool. 25th of May. 25th of May. McPherson's left wing.
Just one little Union soldier. What the hell's he out there by himself for?
He's like, yeah, I'm part of Hooker's corps.
What's it
to you? You damn rebel. Yeah, you're racist. You're rapist.
Yeah. Come on out here, you racist.
On 25th of May, McPherson's left wing. They took the road southeast from Van Wert to Dallas. Davis's division turned off to the east on a side road. Hooker's 20th Corps, they marched down the road from Burnt Hickory to Dallas, with Brigadier General John Geary's division on the main road. The other divisions advanced on minor roads, with Brigadier General Alpheus S. Williams to the right and Major General Daniel Butterfield to the left of the main road. The 4th and the 14th Corps marched to the right of Hooker's Corps, and Schofield's Corps remained close to Burnt Hickory. I wonder why they call it Burnt Hickory.
Oh, what do I?
Think there's a bunch of Burnt Hickory?
I would assume so. Maybe it was like a forest fire one day or something. At Pumpkin.
Maybe it was just called Hickory one time.
Right, it was just Hickory.
Down Hickory.
We're going to Hickory. Well, now we got to name it Burnt Hickory, damn it. Charred Hickory. At Pumpkin Vine Creek, Federals found some Confederates trying to set the bridge on fire.
You think there's pumpkins there near the creek?
Pumpkin Vine Creek, I would assume, right?
Near the creek.
I mean, people were simple back in the days. You see something, that's what it's called.
Right.
At Pumpkin Vine Creek, the Federals found some Confederates trying to set the bridge on fire. Uh-oh. Hooker's cavalry escort drove off the bridge burners, and Gary's troops crossed the stream. At the left fork in the road near Owens Mills, Gary's division took the route toward New Hope Church.
See, they were very simple. They're burning the bridge, so they're bridge burners.
Right. And there's a bunch of mills owned by Owens, and there's Owens Mills, man. As his column advanced, it was met by determined resistance by the 32nd Alabama and the 58th Alabama Infantry Regiments, plus Austin's sharpshooters under Colonel Bushrod Jones.
Oh, yeah.
Gary was compelled to deploy Colonel Charles Candy's brigade in an extended skirmish line, Charles Candy, right. In order to drive Jones's Confederates back.
All right. We got some action going on here, huh? Gary's troop took several prisoners who told them that Hood's corps was directly ahead.
Uh-oh.
Both Thomas and Hooker were startled by this information because, like Sherman, they did not expect to run into major opposition so soon.
Wait, this is supposed to be like 20 miles ahead.
Right. You're like, what? You mean just fearing that Gary's troops were exposed to a sudden attack, Thomas summoned the divisions of Williams and Butterfield to march rapidly to Gary's assistance. Having marched down the right fork toward Dallas, Williams' troops had to retrace their route to Owens Mills and then turn right into the road Gary had taken. Between 4 p.m. and 5 p.m., both Williams's and Butterfield's troops reinforced Gary. Still convinced that only moderate Confederate forces were in the Dallas area, Sherman ordered Thomas to attack, and Thomas passed the order to Hooker. He's like, I
don't want to attack. You can attack Hooker.
He's telling us to attack. I believe this old Reb guy here. I don't think Sherman knows.
Well, soon after 5 p.m., Hooker gave the order to attack, with Williams' division on the right, Butterfield's division on the left, and Gary's in support.
Uh-oh.
Butterfield's line was slightly behind Williams in order to protect against a flanker. All 3 divisions were formed in columns of brigades. That is, within each division, each brigade was deployed in line, one behind the other. Yes, we've seen it all in the movies.
Right.
All 3 divisions advanced about a mile through dense woods and underbrush.
Uh-oh.
In Williams' division, Hooker and Williams rode behind the 1st Brigade. Got a little bumper.
Right.
Should have been behind the 2nd Brigade.
Right. When the troops reached the bottom of a slope, they were greeted by a storm of rifle and artillery fire.
How do you, wait a minute. You're coming to a bottom of the slope, which means you had the high ground the whole time. How are you not seeing them, guys?
Wow. Union soldiers threw themselves to the ground behind whatever cover they could find, and then fired back as they could. As they came under fire, Butterfield and Geary's soldiers also laid down. The 4,000 rebel defenders belonged to Stuart's division, with the brigades of Brigadier Generals Marcellus Augustus Stovall and Henry D. Clayton, and also Alphaeus Baker in the front line, from left to right, and Brigadier General Randall Gibson's brigade in reserve. Stuart's line was also supported by 16 cannons. Ooh, you got 16 cannons firing in the thicket, man. Oh, man.
Plus 4,000 soldiers.
Though facing 16,000 Federales, Stuart's entrenched soldiers had no trouble defending their position. Of course not.
The Union generals hoped that their opponents would be caught in the open, but it became clear that Confederates were protected by earth and log field fortifications.
They sure were.
The only clearly visible target was a Confederate artillery battery, which took casualties, obviously.
They had to.
Williams' 1st Brigade under Colonel James Robinson fired off its 60 rounds per man and was replaced in the battle line by Brigadier General Thomas Ruger's brigade. Brigadier General Joseph Knipe's brigade waited in the 3rd line. Johnson, who arrived at Hood's headquarters that afternoon, asked Stuart if he needed reinforcements.
Damn
right.
What
the hell
you
think?
You don't even ask. Just do it.
Well, so much for that.
Well, Stuart was like, nah, my own troops will hold the position. Okay. Oh. The battle went on for 3 hours, and during the last hour, a thunderstorm added its noise and rain to the din of the battle. Hooker reported suffering 1,665 moited and wounded. The Union troops called the battlefield the Hellhole.
Oh, hellhole.
As the defeated Federals slowly withdrew, the old Rebs gave a cheer. Stuart reported losing 300 to 400 casualties. Another source stated that there were 1,665 Union and 400 Confederate casualties.
So exactly what Hooker reported.
Exactly.
Johnson and Hood both commended Stuart for successful defense. On the other hand, Sherman was badly disappointed that his maneuver was so unexpectedly blocked.
What?
Sherman hated Hooker and unfairly criticized him for not immediately pushing ahead with Gary's division.
Well,
Sherman believed that by waiting for his other 2 divisions to arrive, Hooker allowed the Confederates time to entrench.
no, they're already there, you moron.
He hoped that he was only facing Hood's corps, but it was finally beginning to dawn on him that Johnston's entire army was in front of him. Didn't we have that last episode with Lee himself finally realizing that he's facing a whole army?
He's like, oh, yeah, Grant ain't like the rest of them.
Right. The sound of fighting was heard in Atlanta and caused a minor panic among the civilians. They're like, oh, shit, they're not supposed to be this close.
Right.
The hell?
Damn. Well, during the night, the Union Army entrenched.
Oh, well, okay.
Skirmishing continued throughout May 26th. McPherson's wing and Davis's division occupied Dallas in the afternoon and established a position 2 miles farther east. The troops of Thomas and Schofield concentrated near New Hope Church. A 1-mile gap existed between Thomas and McPherson, but it was concealed by the heavily wooded terrain. Likewise, there was a gap between Hardee's corps east of Dallas and the corps of Hood and Polk at New Hope Church. Johnston, he detached Cleburne's division from Hardee and added it to his right flank. Look at you, Johnston.
All right, well, thwarted in his attempt to turn the Confederate left flank, Sherman decided to attack the right flank. His efforts resulted in the Battle of Pickett's Mill, which we'll have a little brief thing on during our next battle. Much of the New Hope Church battlefield today is privately owned and located at the intersection of Bobo Road and Highway 381 in Dallas.
Oh, nice.
American Battlefield Trust and its partners have acquired and preserved almost 5 acres of the battlefield. That's it.
Is the church still there?
As of mid-2023. Doubtful.
All right. Well, that was
interesting.
and terrible leadership by
Oh, Sherman there.
Because of his hatred for frickin' Hooker.
No intelligence. Where's your intelligence at? You don't know you have a whole damn army coming towards you, but hey.
Let's move it on. Let's go to Dallas, Georgia. 28th of May, 1864. As you guys know, is Atlanta Campaign. Union Army Sherman and Johnston still fighting each other.
This is a series of battles, though.
Right, they fought a series of battles between 25th of May and June 3rd along a front stretching northeast from Dallas, Georgia toward Ackworth. At Dallas, a probe launched by William Bates and William Hicks Jackson's Confederate divisions accidentally turned into a full-scale assault against the defenses of John A. Logan's 15th Corps.
We're like, whoops.
Hey,
whoops.
Guess we're in it now. At the Battle of Picket Mills, Thomas brought forward Howard's 4th Corps, which deployed on the left of Hooker's Corps and was in position by the morning of the 26th of May. Davis's division moved forward on the left of McPherson's 2 Corps.
All right, of the other two 14th Corps divisions, Absalom Baird's remained at Burnt Hickory to guard Thomas's wagon train, and Richard Johnson's was retained as reserve. McPherson occupied Dallas on the morning of May 26th, pressed forward 2 miles until his troops were in contact with Hardee's Corps. McPherson posted Davis's division on his left, Dodge's 16th Corps in the center, and Logan's 15th Corps on his right. Garrard's horsemen watched the country to the right and skirmished with Jackson's cavalry. Schofield's 23rd Corps came up behind Hooker's and Howard's Corps, except for Alvin Peterson Hovey's division, which was left to guard the Corps trains.
I bet it was. Sherman ordered Schofield's Corps to move to Brown Sawmill on Little Pumpkin Vine Creek, which was on Howard's left. After marching northeast through dense forest to reach Howard's left, both the 23rd Corps and the 4th Corps performed a right wheel in order to come face to face with the old rebel defenses. During the 26th of May, both sides entrenched, and there was continuous skirmishing all along the front lines. Thwarted in its attempt to move around Johnston's left flank,
Yes, we know.
Sherman decided to turn the Confederate right flank. What?
Yeah, we know.
What?
That he decided to turn the right.
Oh, right. He also wanted to extend his left flank until he reconnected with the connoiter. Until he reconnected with the railroad near Alatoona Pass. Sherman, he got a plan, but I don't know.
Well, it worked out for him. Don't worry.
Right.
Eventually, conscious of his numerical superiority, Sherman knew he could hold his entrenchments with part of his forces while using another part for a flanking maneuver. May 27th, he ordered Thomas to pull Thomas J. Wood's division from Howard's Corps and use it to turn Johnson's right flank.
All right.
Wood would be supported by Johnson's division, which is the 14th Corps, and Nathaniel McLean's brigade of the 23rd Corps. Sherman's left flank, McCook's cavalry clashed with Wheeler's cavalry, inflicting losses, capturing about 50 Confederates, though.
Oh, shit.
Reports of this action led Sherman to believe that Johnson's right flank was only held by Wheeler's horsemen. Why do you are you led to believe stuff? Why don't you send some people out there, man?
Wow. When Thomas and Howard examined the place selected for Woods' attack, they found that it was an open field exposed to crossfire. Thomas ordered Wood to march farther to the left. Accompanied by Howard, Woods' division deployed into 6 lines, one behind the other, and moved about a mile and a half through densely wooded terrain. Johnson's division from the Federales was in a similar formation to Woods' left. Finding that there were Confederate entrenchments opposite Woods' division, Howard ordered the march to continue.
All right, well, unknown to the Federals, Johnson anticipated Sherman's maneuver and detached Cleburne's division from Hardee's Corps, moved it to the right flank of Hood's Corps.
All right.
Johnson also ordered Stewart's division to be pulled out of the line and sent to the right flank to help Cleburne.
Cool.
Woods' division marched an additional 1 mile through dense forest, and Howard ordered it to attack.
5 p.m., Wood sent William Hazard's brigade forward, but it was repulsed by Hiram Granberry's Texas brigade.
Well, he's not supposed to be a blue.
Right, after bitter fighting. Belatedly, Wood sent in a 2nd and finally a 3rd brigade, but they were also beaten down.
Yeah,
Weakly supported on the left by Johnson's division and on the right by McLean's brigade, Wood's attack failed, and the Battle of Pickett's Mill was a Federale defeat.
Oh, surprise, surprise.
The old blue coat casualties numbered 1,600, including an unusually high proportion of dead. The old Rebs reported 448 casualties.
Jeez. Finally,
Sherman.
Finally convinced that Johnston's entire army was facing him from well-established entrenchments, Sherman planned to shift his troops from the right to the left flank. His goal was to reach a position beyond Johnston's right flank and seize the railroad near Ackworth. Jeez, man.
Once this movement was completed, Blair's 17th Corps would move from Rome to Alatoona Pass, and Sherman's work gangs could rebuild the railroad cross the Etowah. And Sherman's work gangs could rebuild the railroad bridge across the Etowah. Sherman's divisions
Hitting the railroad spikes.
Sherman's divisions were not all there. Sherman's divisions were not all with their proper corps.
Okay.
From left to right, they were Johnson, Wood, Haskell, Cox, Stanley, Newton, and Hooker's 3 divisions, Davis, and McPherson's divisions, with all their corps.
Right.
Sherman's orders for May 28 were the McPherson to send Davis's division back to Thomas and shift his position toward the left, taking over Hooker's lines. Hooker was directed to occupy Schofield's lines. Schofield was instructed to move to the extreme left flank after picking up Hovey's division. Baird's division would guard all the wagon trains at Burnt Hickory.
All right, good for him.
Just moving.
Even May 27th, Wheeler reported that Sherman's left flank along Little Pumpkin Vine Creek was exposed, and Hood convinced Johnson to attack it. That night, Hood's corps pulled out of line and was replaced by Polk's corps without the Union troops discovering it. From midnight to 6 a.m., Hood's troops marched 5 to 6 miles through the dense woods to reach their jumping-off point.
All right.
However, Wheeler's morning report notified Hood that the Union lines were now behind the creek and bolstered with breastworks. He's like, shit.
Uh-oh. Hood, he passed this information to Johnston, who called off the assault, ordered Hood's sleepy troops to take position on Polk's right flank.
They're like, damn it.
Right. In fact, Sherman was so anxious about his left flank that the previous evening he ordered Howard to bend his line back and barricade it against attack.
It might have been a smart thing, huh?
28th of May, Johnston, he received reports that Sherman's right flank troops were shifting northward. The reports were mistaken, but Johnston ordered Hardee to have Bates' division probe the Union defenses near Dallas.
See, that's what you should do.
Right. If the Union defenses were abandoned or weakly held, Bates was ordered to seize them with his 5,000-man division.
All right. Jackson's cavalry division, also about 5,000 strong, was ordered to assist. Bates' division was deployed with Joseph Lewis's Kentucky Brigade on the right, Jesse Finley's Florida Brigade on the center, Thomas Benton Smith's Georgia-Tennessee Brigade on the left. Jackson's division included Frank Crawford Armstrong's Mississippi Brigade, Ross's Texas Brigade, and Samuel Ferguson's Alabama-Mississippi Brigade. After meeting with his brigade commanders and Jackson, Bates outlined his plan. He directed Armstrong's dismounted troopers to attack first, and if they ran into little or no resistance, 4 cannon shots would be fired as a signal for the infantry to attack. If the cavalrymen encountered strong defenses, no cannons would be fired and the attack would be canceled.
Right.
Bate and the others were sure that they would meet only token forces.
Well, we'll come to find out, won't they? The Union defenses were held by Logan's 15th Corps from right to left, the divisions of William Harrow, Morgan Lewis Smith, and Peter Osterhaus. On Osterhaus's left was James Veatch, his division of the Dodge's 16th Corps. Worried about the rifle fire coming from the Union lines, Lieutenant Colonel Frank A. Montgomery of the 1st Mississippi Cavalry Regiment went to a hilltop battery position to observe the Federal defenses. He was nearly moited by a sniper, but in his brief glimpse was able to see that the Union lines were well manned.
He's like, damn.
He tried to warn his immediate superior, Colonel R.A. Pinson, but Armstrong...
He's like, put a Pinson in it.
Right. But Armstrong and Bate were convinced they faced only a skirmish
Oh,
line.
my gosh. These guys are idiots.
Dumb.
Are you convinced? This dude just seen it with his own eyes.
I almost got moited.
Jeez. 3:45 p.m. Armstrong's dismounted cavalrymen rushed Harrow's division, overran the picket line, and captured 3 guns from the 1st Iowa Battery.
Oh, wow.
They penetrated a gap in the defenses, but Logan galloped up, bringing reinforcements and shouting, "Give them hell, boys!"
Uh-oh.
A counterattack by the 6th Iowa Infantry Regiment threw back Armstrong's men and recaptured the guns.
Damn right they did.
Armstrong's men quickly retreated to their trenches. They're like, all right, we tried. We tried.
After witnessing the brusque repulse, Bate ordered the signal guns not to fire and sent couriers to each of his brigade commanders to cancel the planned assault.
Better damn well do it.
Thomas Smith received the message and had his troops stand down. However,
Stand down and stand ready, or
Right.
stand, what do you say?
Right.
Stand down, but stand up.
However, Lewis and Finley did not get the message in time, and they believed that they missed the signal amid all the shooting. They're like, did you hear any cannons? I'm like, maybe. You sure? Let's just go. They ordered their troops to attack, and hundreds of them were shot down by Logan's and Veach's well-entrenched soldiers. Again and again, the old Rebs tried to rush the Union lines, but were unable to get closer than 50 yards, finally stopping their attacks at 6 p.m. Idiots.
Yep. Impressed by the bravery and persistence of their enemies, the Federals believed that they defeated an entire corps. Johnson only reported a loss of 300, but Lewis's Kentuckians lost 51% out of 1,100 soldiers. So that's a lie.
Right.
Bates's division and Armstrong's cavalry suffered at least 1,000 casualties and possibly as high as 1,500.
Oh, wow.
Logan reported 379 casualties, and Veach's rightmost brigade did not report a single casualty.
No shit.
The American Battlefield Trust stated that the Union casualties were 379, while Confederate casualties were 1,200.
We'll take it.
All right. Right.
We'll take it. The fighting at Dallas on the 28th of May caused McPherson to ask Sherman to postpone the planned shift to the left. Sherman called off the move, and on 29th of May was spent in skirmishing along the 10-mile-long opposing front lines. Sherman's shift to the left was rescheduled for the night of 29th of May, but on McPherson's front, soldiers thought they were being attacked, and both sides fired at phantom enemies all night long.
Nobody's there, buddies.
Wow. Sherman again postponed the shift to the night of the 31st of May. Meanwhile, Garrard's division moved from the extreme right to the extreme left, where it joined Stoneman's cavalry with orders to head for Allatoona Pass. Like, I don't know what those guys are doing, but I didn't even see no enemy.
Damn tree branches moving in the shadows. At the appointed hour, McPherson carefully pulled out from the area near Dallas and marched to occupy the Union lines farther north. By the morning of June 1st, McPherson's transfer was in progress without alerting the Confederates facing him.
Oh.
That day, Stoneman's horsemen occupied Allatoona Pass, and the repair of the railroad line was begun from Kingston to the Etowah. Schofield's and Hooker's corps pulled out a line near New Hope Church and were replaced by McPherson's two corps.
Cool. 2nd of June, Schofield's 13th Corps moved to the intersection of Allatoona Road and the road from Burnt Hickory to Marietta. He deployed divisions of Hovey, Cox, and Haskell.
Damn, law firm bitches.
Right, did that from right to left. Supported by Butterfield's division, which was the 20th Corps, Schofield's divisions moved east, driving back enemy skirmishes. The advance was made through forest so thick that the skirmish line could not be seen 200 feet away.
Damn.
And the troops were guided by compass.
Compass.
Right, by compass.
They had swamp ass, put some
some
compass in the swamp ass.
Cox's division, Cox ass.
Cox in ass.
Right, Cox and asses. Cox's division accused,
Of having an asses.
Cox's division crossed the Allatoona Creek in a thunderstorm and found itself faced by a line of rebel entrenchments. Uh-oh.
Haskell and Hovey came up on the left and right, respectively, and all three divisions entrenched. They were faced by the Confederate divisions of Claiborne and Walker. That day, the divisions of Baird and Johnson from Palmer's 14th Corps filled the gap between Schofield's new position at Pickett's Mill.
Okay.
June 3rd, Hooker extended his corps to the left of Schofield. Stoneman's and McCook's cavalry arrived at Ackworth, and Garrard's cavalry occupied the railroad south of Etowah.
Damn.
Sherman's engineers and railroad crews were now able to repair the track as far as Ackworth.
Fantastic.
Schofield pulled Hovey's division out of line and ordered it to move to Allatoona Church, where it reached it in the evening.
Oh, okay.
The Confederates evacuated the trenches in front of Schofield and took up a new line facing north.
Okay. Wow. Believing that Sherman was about to sweep around his right flank to seize Marietta, on the night of the June 3rd, Johnston, he ordered a 6-mile retreat.
Gotta get out of there.
4th of June,
Fuck off.
4th of June, Sherman directed McPherson to pull his troops from the area around New Hope Church and march behind the other Union forces and take a position on the far left flank. When Johnston's soldiers abandoned their lines on the night of the June 4th, the old Federales did not even realize they were gone.
Damn.
The old Rebs' retreat was conducted in the rain, and the soldiers arrived at their new defenses muddy and exhausted.
Hey, man, gotta do what you gotta do.
They're alive.
Well, that very line, right. That very line ran from Lost Mountain in the southwest to Brushy Mountain to the northeast, with a salient in the center at Pine Mountain. Sherman rearranged his forces so that Schofield was on his right, Thomas in the center, McPherson on his left at the railroad. Blair's 17th Corps arrived at Ackworth June 8, joining McPherson. The next action, which we'll see coming up next episode, is the Battle of Gilgal Church on June 15th.
Between 23rd of May and June 6th, Sherman's Union forces sustained 4,500 casualties, while Johnston's rebel army lost 3,000. During the month of May, Sherman's troops suffered 12,000 casualties out of 100,000.
And it's 10%, 12%.
12%. While Johnston's losses numbered 9,000 out of a total of 75.
That's like 14%.
Like 18.
Right.
Sherman's losses were soon replaced by the addition of Blair's 17th Corps and other units. And others. But Johnston's army had only the Georgia militia to rely on for reinforcements.
You can't be doing that.
Unfortunately for Johnston, by the beginning of June, Sherman's army grew stronger relative to the old rebel army despite heavier losses.
Doesn't matter.
He has people to do it.
Right. In the fight in around New Hope Church and Dallas, Johnston held up Sherman's advance for 2 weeks by effectively countering his opponent's maneuvers.
I mean, it worked out.
However, in May, Sherman's forces advanced 80 miles into Georgia and forced the Confederates to give up a number of excellent defensive positions.
Damn, look at that.
The bitter fighting and harsh conditions also taxed the soldiers' physical and mental health.
I bet.
Hundreds of men from both armies were sent to the rear, sick or exhausted, while others deserted, said, I'm getting the hell out of here.
Yeah, I'm done.
Marauders from both armies stole from the local inhabitants.
I bet they did. Cox from the old Federales, he claimed that both the Union and Confederate armies sustained 9,000 casualties in 1 month of May. In the battles of New Hope Church and Dallas, Gaston Bodart stated that the Union army numbered 80,000 and the Confederate had 40,000, and that the Union casualties were 2,400 while the Confederates were 3,000. April 30th, 1864. Sherman's forces counted 110,000 soldiers, which 99,250 were available for offensive purposes. The 25,000 non-companions.
Yeah, we know. We are. Yes, Teamsters, camp slaves.
Yeah, we don't need to do any of that.
Whatever. Who cares? The site of the battle is now the Paulding County High School. Say what? Damn, that's some haunted ass shit.
I hate to be the night janitor there.
Right. And he's black. The Confederate trenches lay along the southern edge of the campus, as marked by a Civil War marker sign along Highway 61.
Hey, isn't that a song?
Highway 61 or Civil War? I'm at the Civil War marker sign along Highway 61. I got ghost men from the Confederates. They're staring down my barrel gun. The American Battlefield Trust and its partners have acquired and preserved 64 acres at the battlefield through mid-2020. Well, you can't when there's a fucking high school on it.
Right.
That was through mid-2023. So the Union finally getting one there at the very end. Look for them.
Yeah, it worked out.
For them.
It worked out.
Atlanta Campaign's shaping up.
It is.
Well, Union technically won while that was in Virginia. So, we got the battle. Pickett's Mill was already there. That was supposed to be the next one, but I included it in Dallas, so it doesn't matter. We got the Battle of Hall Shop coming up next in Virginia. We got the Battle of Totopotamoff Creek in Virginia. We got the Battle of Old Church in Virginia.
Oh, and then we got a bigger one.
And that'll probably be it for next week's episode.
Oh, we got a morale booster for the old Rebs.
Right, we got a big battle, the Battle of Cold Harbor coming up.
Damn, that motherfucker lasted for 12 days.
2 episodes from now at Cold Harbor.
That motherfucker lasted for 12 days.
Yes.
Damn. Oh, look at we get to go to Arkansas.
It's a big boy. This is a big boy. Oh, yeah, it's a big boy.
Decent. Decent.
What about Hall Shop? All right, so we'll have a decent little episode next week with 3, and then we'll have Cold Harbor coming up after that. And then we got some more Virginias, like you said, Arkansas snuck in there. And
I don't know, guys. If it continues this way, the rebels might add on a couple more years to this war. They could win.
They don't even add on a whole year, so we got a couple
another year.
No, because we're done in March.
April.
March. March.
April.
Yeah, but that don't count. March. Appomattox Station is when it's done. Courthouse. April. It's the beginning of April. Still March. Really, it's
still
over.
March. It'll still be March.
Really, it's over.
1862.
Right. Yeah, in the next couple episodes, we'll sneak in. Well, not next couple, over the next few episodes.
It was really over after Vicksburg and Gettysburg.
Pretty much.
But it was really over after the South lost Louisiana and Mississippi River.
Right.
Boom.
That was Vicksburg, but Vicksburg is when they lost to Mississippi. totally.
I'm saying, all of the Mississippi.
Right. But in the next few episodes, we'll have mostly Virginia and Atlanta, but we sneak a couple Arkansas and Mississippi and Kentucky in there as well. So join us then. YouTube at Bang Dang Network, Spotify, Apple. Give us a subscription. We'll see you next week for the Battle of Mississippi. Battle of the American Civil War. We have the Mother Michiganders.